This anime opens by showing a live vlogging and accidentally met Hobin, which we usually call YouTube, who wanted to buy it because he thought the price was only around 30 or 40,000 yen, who has 700,000 subscribers. Because it has reached 700,000 subscribers, Pakgo wants to celebrate this achievement on its own YouTube channel. Then Pakgo invited a cute girl named Yorumi to collaborate, a beginner NewTuber who has a subscription under Pakgo. Yorumi then explained the contents of the beauty content on her YouTube channel, and that she had prepared a special model for Pakgo. After that, they introduced a special model that had been prepared named Hobin. In Hobin's heart, he was grumbling why Pakgo didn't share the profits even though he was always the model for Pakgo's content itself. Next, Pakgo asked Kaneko, his cameraman, to start recording the live stream. Seeing Hobin's always sullen face, Pakgo forced him to smile in front of the camera.
モデルも用意したんですよね。はい、
私が一生懸命です。
どいつも利用するんだったら俺にも収益を。
志村。笑顔でな。押してくれた方の中から。
全部やらせなくせに。
After finishing the live streaming, Hobin went to the bathroom to remove his makeup, but it turned out that he had a very difficult time removing his makeup. While removing the makeup on his face, Hobin questioned himself why he never stood up to the bullying that happened to him. He was very annoyed, because Pakgo was usually called a school thug, but it was very easy for him to make a profit on the internet. Even Yorumi only has 5,000 subscribers, but because she has a beautiful face and a nice body, Yorumi is just waiting to be famous. Different from his two friends, Hobin doesn't have anything special. After that, Hobin intended to return to class. But suddenly, Kaneko quickly started bullying Hobin, who was also Pakgo's cameraman. Hobin, who has experienced a lot of bullying from several school thugs like Pakgo, feels that Kaneko is nothing compared to all of them. Always hiding behind other people, his cowardly nature is hidden by his circle, so that Kaneko can feel safe even though he gets goosebumps when he sees the expression on Hobin's face. Long story short, Hobin was surprised when he heard that Yorumi could make 30,000 yen, just with the short livestream he did earlier. Pakgo, who asked for reciprocity, was seen only promised by Yorumi to wait for a gift from him. Coincidentally, Hobin and Kaneko had the same thoughts. Unlike Hobin, who couldn't do anything or get information on how to become a YouTuber, Kaneko could casually ask Pakgo directly. Fortunately, Pakgo did not prevent the cameraman's actions and informed him that minors could not earn income. Therefore, he needs his parents so that his income can be dispersed. Hearing this, Kaneko, who had already stolen his parents' money, was sure he would not be allowed to use it. Therefore, Kaneko asked Hobin to give his mother's account in a disrespectful way. What's worse, Hobin's mother is sick and lying in the hospital. Even though he was very annoyed by the words of the two bullies, Hobin couldn't do anything and could only hold back his emotions, because he knew he would suffer the ending if he was determined to fight back. The scene then shifts to the hospital. After visiting the mother who was trying to be strong in front of her child, the mother was worried about her son who had bruises on his face. But Hobin immediately calmed him down and told him that he wouldn't fight at all. This is the life of Hobin, who has to work part-time at Metsudi for 1 week, in order to earn 30,000 yen like Pakgo and Yorumi do. Apart from caring for his mother, he still has many needs that he has to take care of as an only child. Then came a cute girl named Asamiya Kaho. Hobin, who saw Asamiya's face, immediately liked her.
志村くん。
まだいるじゃないか。朝宮カホ。冷蔵庫の中にあるから。
わかった。ありがとう。
俺が持ってくれよ。
朝宮と喋っちゃった。血の店のアイドル。
いらっしゃいませ。
見ているだけで幸せ。
Just chatting with Asamiya, suddenly Pakgo came and gave Asamiya a challenge. Where Pakgo explained that his audience asked him to give a challenge to Asamiya, where he gave a challenge to make the burger on the poster, and he had to make it in just 30 seconds. If Asamiya failed to do so, then he had to give Pakgo his telephone number. In the midst of the confusion, Asamiya couldn't do anything, and the employees there couldn't do anything either. But suddenly, Hobin quickly completed his challenge and threw Pakgo out of the place. Amid other employees who admired his heroic actions, Hobin could guess that tomorrow he would be battered by Pakgo. That night, Hobin was seen cursing himself for letting Kaneko live stream at his house. In the middle of Kaneko carrying out his live streaming, he received a challenge from his viewers where if he killed 30 other players he would get 30,000 yen. Because he was secretly annoyed, Hobin spat at Kaneko's ramen. He was even very annoyed because Kaneko used his computer to live stream and Hobin's YouTube account was also used by Kaneko. When Hobin wanted to deliver the ramen he had spat on, he suddenly slipped and the ramen he was holding was thrown at Kaneko. Because of Hobin's actions, Kaneko's live stream was destroyed, even though he only had 1 kill left to get 30,000 yen. Kaneko, who was annoyed, then tortured Hobin while uttering very cruel words. He even degraded Hobin's mother. Hearing that, Yu Hobin couldn't hold back his emotions, and the two of them fought with each other. After Kaneko left Yu Hobin's house, he decided to rest and turn off his computer so he could save money on the bill. The next day, without them realizing it, Yu Hobin just accidentally unplugged the monitor cable, while the live stream and other cable connections were still plugged in. Kaneko also asked Yu Hobin to delete the live stream, because it turned out that yesterday's live stream had spread throughout the world. Then Yu Hobin explained to him that he never uploaded it on NewTuber. Then Kaneko told him that the live stream would be uploaded automatically when the computer went offline. Even though he wanted to delete his live stream, because his YouTube account was using his mother's Yu Hobin account, he couldn't log in to delete it. After hearing this, Yu Hobin then checked one of the comments on his account, which informed him that the video could be cashed out at a nominal value of 0.1 yen per one view, and the total audience for the Yu Hobin versus Kaneko video just now was 10 million viewers. On the same day, we are shown the difference felt by Yu Hobin and Kaneko. Because the video has gone viral, he is now the subject of bullying in class. Even when he wanted to pick a fight with his classmate, he actually got hit by his classmate. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Yu Hobin was seen who was shocked that he had to pay 120,000 yen for his mother's treatment. Yu Hobin's worry about his viral video immediately disappeared, because the amount he could get could be said to be worth it for the virality. However, not long after, Kaneko came and started fighting with Yu Hobin, because he felt that his throne as a strategist and YouTube cameraman like Pakgo had now been completely destroyed, and he didn't even get anything from the video. In the afternoon, Yu Hobin comforts Kaneko after fighting with him. However, when Yu Hobin still didn't want to give Kaneko a little of his money, suddenly Kaneko secretly recorded the fight this afternoon. In order to restore his destroyed throne, Kaneko intends to work with Yu Hobin, which might be a long-term investment for him. However, after Kaneko explained how difficult it is to have a YouTube account, both in terms of the account and the content and other creation processes. With great confidence, he thought Yu Hobin would fall into his slavery trap, especially when he saw Yu Hobin, who he thought wanted to shake hands with him. He then explained the results of the distribution, which for Kaneko was 90% and for Yu Hobin only 10%. But luckily Yu Hobin wasn't stupid, and Kaneko didn't expect to be rejected by him. When Yu Hobin wanted to leave, Kaneko, who didn't want to lose one of the opportunities to get back on his feet, made an offer to share their earnings with him. From initially 10% for Yu Hobin and 90% for Kaneko, it is now 90% for Yu Hobin and 10% for Yu Hobin and 10% for Kaneko. The next day, Pakgo started his live stream and informed the audience that two of his classmates were going viral. When Kaneko urged Hobin to quickly launch their action, Hobin seemed to be looking for an opportunity, and when he heard Pakgo announce a computer giveaway for one lucky person. In the middle of Hobin continuing to bombard Pakgo's live with the facts of his bullying, people were seen starting to crowd around, and a curious girl tried to see them. But unfortunately, even though initially everything was still as planned, Pakgo suddenly laughed and was grateful because the cell phone he used for the live had died because it ran out of battery. In the midst of the bullying carried out by Pakgo, Kaneko has intelligently anticipated this and continues to increase the viewers and subscribers that both of them have. All the viewers who watched the live really couldn't believe that a YouTuber with 700,000 subscribers was a trash collector like that. Seeing Hobin's burning eyes, Kaneko was shocked and couldn't believe it, because Hobin dared to take a stance against Pakgo. Even though their bodies are very different in size, Hobin remains determined to rise from adversity. Hobin thought that someone would help separate the two of them, but it turned out that everyone was afraid or didn't want to interfere in their business. This is different from Pakgo, who has a very large body, very scary eyes, muscles and tattoos, while Hobin only has strong willpower and is physically weak. In the middle of Hobin, thinking about using a technique he saw in a Western film, his emotions suddenly peaked when Pakgo insinuated that Hobin's mother had cancer and could only lie in the hospital. Hobin didn't accept it when Pakgo looked down on his mother and made him attack Pakgo without thinking. After Hobin was slammed by Pakgo, he was shocked that a weight difference would have such an effect. He felt that his previous fight with Kaneko was just a joke between two comedians. While Hobin thought everything was finished, unfortunately here Pakgo wasn't satisfied with just slamming Hobin once. Immediately, Hobin and Kaneko's live channel viewers immediately exploded when they saw a young MMA athlete named Kim Moong-sung, felt afraid of the MMA superstar Pakgo, and then immediately left. After everything calmed down, Kaneko praised Hobin because even though he lost, he still had several fans who admired him. In the evening, Pakgo felt grateful because the cell phone he was using had run out of battery. However, he was very surprised when he opened his cell phone. There were lots of notifications, and when he read them, Pakgo started to feel worried. Meanwhile, Hobin is taking a shower and feels like he has become a cool figure. The point is that, since the live bullying, in just a short time, Pakgo's content, which turned out to be a bully, has now gone viral. Here we are also shown the possibilities that occur in our real world. When someone makes a mistake, they will make a clarification. Now all Pakgo content has been labeled as a lie, and what's worse is that there is one netizen who even created a countdown site for the current number of Pakgo subscribers. From the initial 700,000 subscribers, there are now only 400,000 subscribers. Long story short, after Kaneko gave him praise, he also asked him to learn to fight. Because if the video exceeds 3 minutes, they will get more money. Hearing this suggestion, Hobin immediately searched the internet for ways to fight. But unfortunately, when he searched on Gulagolo and NewTube, everything was very difficult for him to imitate. Until one moment, where Hobin made a mistake in typing what should have been an autodactic fight, instead it became an orthodactic fight. Without Hobin realizing it, he found a channel called Dokugokaku Kenka, which had 0 subscribers. Hobin thought the channel was just abandoned by the owner, but it turned out that the channel had uploaded lots of videos. After Hobin decided to watch one of the videos, a masked macho man appeared there. For a short time, Hobin was seen listening to the tutorial from the man in the mask carefully. The man in the mask told him that you should not even get carried away by emotions, because if you get carried away by emotions, it is not venting your fists, but just venting your emotions. In other words, you have to be calm so you can dodge and think about your next move. And if your opponent is carried away by emotions, then you will gain an advantage from the fight. Then the masked man told him about techniques on how to avoid getting hurt when hit. Hobin immediately decided to stop watching that channel. He felt that the channel was only uploading hoax videos, so he could lure viewers and also earn some money. After that, Hobin was seen going to Mesidi deciding to quit his job so he could focus more on managing his channel. At the same time, Asamiya heard several female employees about Hobin wanting to quit and decided to approach Hobin, who was still being scolded by the MCD manager.
だからありがとう。LINE 交換しない？
朝見やっちゃ。
LINE するね。交換しない？
The scene then moves to school. Hobin is seen very happy because he has the Asamiya line. But not long after, Kaneko stopped his fun and asked Hobin's opinion, who has now reached 100,000 subscribers. Then Kaneko was very annoyed because Hobin, who had not thought of a way to survive for 3 minutes while fighting. Even though Hobin talked about YouTubers not always being above, he immediately changed his mind as soon as Rumi came over to him. Kaneko and Hobin initially suspected Rumi of previously siding with Pakgo, but they were immediately convinced by him that his viewers asked him to go live with Hobin. While they were chatting, Pakgo suddenly came and asked Hobin to take responsibility for destroying his channel. This is where Hobin felt strange because the channel's words from the masked man could be implemented by him now. Because of the masked man's words, Hobin is now able to avoid Pakgo's blows and intends to move on to the next step to use the technique that doesn't hurt when hit. But unfortunately, very quickly Kaneko didn't want to waste the opportunity to further bring down Pakgo and introduce their channel together. By threatening to use the video he had just recorded, Pakgo vowed to take revenge on the 3 people. The next day, Hobin was seen waiting for Kaneko in the city center to talk about their next content. However, when Hobin was just about to call Asamiya, suddenly 2 people who claimed to be Hobin's fans approached and made Hobin surprised by the power of YouTubers to make people famous. Hobin is still innocent and doesn't suspect the 2 of them, even though what they both ask is the amount of AdSense he got. In the middle of Hobin being beaten by the 2 thugs, Kaneko suddenly arrives with the intention of saving Hobin, but unfortunately Kaneko suddenly fell down with just 1 punch. Then the thug took Hobin's cell phone as collateral so he wouldn't call the police, even though the thug's aim was only to try to loot Hobin's things. Instead of prioritizing the main folder or email for his channel, Hobin prioritized Asamiya's number because he couldn't contact him anymore. Kaneko's newest model cell phone, which Kaneko wants to use as a sacrifice, wakes up Kaneko and tells him to go after the 2 people. Because apparently from the start, Kaneko had been doing live streams secretly, Hobin was also lured by the number of viewers and the amount of income that awaited them after the live stream ended. The scene then moves to a karaoke place where there are 2 lovers who steal Hobin's cell phone, and Kaneko, who has started his live streaming, is seen by the thugs calling him names because Hobin and Kaneko always make him content. Next, Hobin remembered the words of the masked man in the video that if you already know your opponent's dominant hand, then you all only need to stand on the opposite side of his dominant hand. This needs to be done to move on to the next step. And then this is a very good moment, as well as Hobin's first technique, after watching one of the videos of the masked man.
なんだよてめえ。左側に障害物があれば、
どうせ殴られるんだったら
ことができなくても反応する格闘技を習ったことのない。
来るぞ。振られても痛くない方法。
This technique explains how a blow from your opponent will hurt a lot if the swing hits your face. Therefore, the technique that Hobin just used moves in before the thug's blow reaches its maximum point. Even though it sounded great, all the viewers didn't feel great, and in the midst of Hobin not focusing because he was thinking about his next step, it almost resulted in him being hit by a punch from the thug. Ordinary people who have never practiced boxing martial arts tend to have open gaps between their arms, and this will of course give an advantage to their opponents because they can create weaving by moving from the direction of their fists. Natural weaving is a boxing technique that is usually used to avoid blow. Apart from the two of them, viewers don't understand what the two have been doing since earlier. Hobin, who is in love, is seen trying hard to get his cell phone back so he can reply to messages from Asamiya. He continued to receive repeated blows from the thug who used his forehead. Kaneko, who saw this, started to worry because their viewers were starting to get bored with the action and were starting to leave their live chat. The previous Hobin live against Pakgo could be said to be very exciting, but its duration was very short, while the Hobin live with thugs was too long and monotonous. Not long after, one of the viewers commented that he was sure that Hobin would definitely win the fight, but because what was seen now was Hobin who was continuously being beaten by Kaneko, he doubted one of the viewers' comments. Immediately the other viewers were very shocked, as was the thug who just realized that his hand was very bruised from repeatedly hitting the forehead area very hard. The thug then felt pain after hitting Hobin, and this also caused Kaneko to close Hobin's live stream fighting with the thug. After an argument between Hobin and the thugs, they came out of the karaoke place and Hobin looked very happy even though his face had lots of bruises.
マジで志村が勝ったのか。痛い。スマホ取り返したぞ。まあそれでもいいか。病院代の方が高くつきそうだな。流した汗の分だけ。
Meanwhile, their viral hit channel reached 25 million views with just 4 videos, and at that time Hobin and Kaneko also received AdSense of 2,035,000 yen. Even though it sounds like a lot, Hobin feels that the calculation of 0.1 yen per vise is too low for him. When Hobin, who wanted to increase the violence, was immediately opposed by Kaneko, he said that they both should be grateful because the previous live was not hit by a yellow dollar. Hobin, who doesn't understand the world of NewTubes, is seen by Kaneko explaining that when a video is labeled yellow, their video will be demonetized or won't get a penny. Not long after, Rumi was seen vlogging and accidentally met Hobin, where now Rumi was targeting Hobin and Kaneko's viewers. Long story short, after the two of them succeeded in chasing Rumi, Hobin was seen impressed by a set of jerseys that were very nice for him. Hobin, who wanted to buy it because he thought the price was only around 30 or 40,000 yen, was immediately shocked after seeing the original price, which turned out to be 140,000 yen, and he immediately changed his mind. But unfortunately, Hobin was very surprised when Kaneko suddenly bought the jersey without thinking twice. Kaneko felt it was just something he had to have. Hobin realized that even though he had a lot of money, only rich people could know how to use money wisely. Even though Hobin initially refused to buy the jersey, when Asamiya asked him to do so, he changed his mind in an instant. In order to get rid of his nervousness, Hobin was seen starting his live streaming and was immediately greeted by the viewers who were waiting for him. Seeing this, many people around Hobin who didn't like him mocked Hobin for just looking for sensation for money. He was even accused of deliberately bringing down Pakgo, the YouTuber with 700,000 subscribers. Viewers who heard these words seemed to support Hobin by asking him not to listen to him. Not long after, a woman was seen who Hobin thought wanted to take a photo with him. But it turned out that the woman wanted to take a photo with the handsome vlogging YouTuber behind her. The vlog YouTuber named G1 has 170,000 subscribers. Then G1 immediately approached a very beautiful girl. However, the girl immediately refused because she had an appointment with someone, and it turned out that the beautiful girl was Asamiya, who was looking for Hobin. Long story short, Hobin is seen remembering very sad memories of his past. He who continues to be bullied by Pakgo can only use Kim Monsung as the perfect reference point in his life. But all of that just became a very dark past for him. In the midst of everyone who was stunned to see how beautiful Asamiya was, the girl in the yellow jacket was following Hobin from a distance. Then Hobin and Asamiya suddenly touch Hobin's finger, which makes him look forward to the future.
疲れた。営業チームの林くんが
今日も遅くまでご苦労様。
花屋の前を通っ
太田くんたらわざわざこんなものを。
咲いてるからさ。いい子にしてたかい。
目を覚ませ、志村浩太。
Long story short, Hobin had just woken up from his bow. Now the two of them were in a cafe, and when Hobin reasoned that he was just silent and didn't speak, suddenly Asamiya became sulky when he heard that. Hobin's feelings then became even more mixed when he heard people around him, who said that a beautiful girl like Asamiya would be very rishy if she had a short partner like Hobin, and this made Hobin take off his jersey and made Asamiya a little sad to see. What's worse is that Hobin doesn't have much fun when he chats with Asamiya, and his bad heart makes Asamiya want to leave there immediately. He also apologized to Hobin for forcing him to date him. He also thought that Hobin was very cool when chatting online, but it was very different when he met him in person. Hobin, who didn't want to be a loser, then had the courage to convey what was in his heart, starting with Asamiya, who he thought would feel embarrassed when he was with a guy like him, then revealed that it was the first time he was alone with a girl. After their relationship improved again, they were seen leaving the cafe. Seeing this, the girl in the yellow jacket said that Hobin's courage was very brave for her. A short time while the two of them were walking, Asamiya was seen getting a call from his childhood friend who was also nearby. This made Hobin very surprised when he was told that his childhood friend Asamiya was actually Kim Moonsung, a figure Hobin considered perfect. Unfortunately, when Asamiya asked about Hobin's relationship with Monsung, Hobin answered that he lied about himself and said that Monsung was a close friend in his class. Then after Hobin said to Asamiya that he was very familiar with Monsung, Hobin suddenly became embarrassed when Monsung came in front of Hobin. However, in the midst of confusion, Monsung suddenly said that he was in Hobin's class. Hearing this, Hobin couldn't believe it because in class they never talked. Monsung didn't even know Hobin's name. Then Monsung asked if Hobin had NewTuber, hearing that Hobie was honest with him, but he was wondering if Monsung was just pretending to be nice to him. However, after that Monsung saw Hobin's clothes were the same as himself, Hobin felt annoyed because the conversation made him happy in a short time, and after that the three of them went for a walk in identical clothes. However, Hobin felt that he would disturb Monsung and Asamiya's journey. As a result, Hobin pretended that his toenail hurt and left them with a limp leg. On the other hand, they saw Kaneko, who was live streaming from a distance, and Hobin unexpectedly bumped into him.
二人とも巻き爪が痛いから先に帰るわ。これ以上ここにいたらちょっとおいや指もっとマシな嘘つけねえのか。あのバカ。うわーうわー
Kaneko explained that he happened to be nearby and followed Hobin because he was worried. Kaneko was annoyed because Hobin ran away from Asamiya, even though he thought they were very close. Plus, Hobin even made excuses about his toenails, which made Kaneko even more angry. Hobin, who was confused about what to do, instead told Kaneko to be the one between the two of them, because he felt he wasn't a man because he was like Monsung, so Hobin only had his toenails as an excuse. Here Hobin says that he and Asamiya live in different worlds. He is also aware of all these things. Kaneko explains that if someone falls in love, it is the same as a tournament fight, where rivals will fight over one woman but Hobin gives up. Hobin reasoned that it was different from when he fought with other people. As a true friend, Kaneko gave Hobin words of motivation to get him excited again. After hearing Kaneko's words, Hobin finally melted and started to get up to express his feelings to Asamiya. Even this time Hobin looked full of enthusiasm, while from behind Kaneko started his live streaming. Kaneko ran after Hobin, but suddenly he stopped because he was blocked by someone unknown. The scene shifts to Asamiya asking about Hobin's foot condition. He then immediately answers that Hobin's foot condition has healed. Then Monsung says that a toenail like that will not heal if it is removed. Here Monsung offers help. Strangely hearing that, Hobin is actually scared by being offered help. Plus when Monsung wanted to leave there because he wanted to practice, Hobin was even more shocked and his facial expression was very strange. Asamiya said that next week the Monsung would be sparring, so he was very busy, realizing that the two of them were not dating, but he was already overthinking. Then Monsung called Hobin. Strangely, he said that Hobin was a strong fighter, which Monsung had seen the live stream. He knew that when Hobin fought thugs, he took the blows first to reduce the pain. Monsung also knew that Hobin deliberately didn't make a move. Furthermore, hearing the words next move, Hobin wondered if Monsung knew something. After that they were on a date. Asamiya asked what Hobin wanted to talk about. Here Hobin is very embarrassed. He thinks while rubbing his thighs, which produces extraordinary friction. Then Hobin immediately asked about Asamiya's type of man. Asamiya, who was also starting to feel embarrassed, said that his type was an honest man. But suddenly Hobin grabbed Kaneko's hair behind the bench. Hobin realized that Kaneko was recording them in silence, but Kaneko's face was already disfigured, making Hobin shocked.
Asamiyaの理想のタイプって。
摩擦。正直な人。
正直な人。俺の理想のタイプは。俺の。Asamiya。その前にやっぱり撮ってると思ったよ。カネゴ
It turns out that it was Pakgo and his friends who beat Kaneko. With Pakgo's hatred for Hobin, he was going to take revenge because Hobin had damaged his NewTube. Hobin then immediately told Asamiya to leave, but Asamiya was detained by Pakgo. Hobin immediately imagined the tricks of the Samdak and Hobin immediately called Pakgo. Pakgo immediately swung his punch at Hobin, with Hobin's trick of placing his punch on Hobin's forehead, but it turned out that Pakgo's punch was replaced with a hard uppercut. Because Pakgo's blow made Hobin fly, he then remembered the Samdak, but Hobin hadn't watched any other videos. He only watched the Samdak trick that was used against robbers at that time, and it was useless in the fight against Pakgo. Currently, Asamiya is worried about Hobin because he keeps getting beat up by Pakgo, with regret that Hobin got carried away and stopped studying and doesn't fully intend to fight with Pakgo. From there, Hobin received payment for his stupidity and received a beating from Pakgo until he was broken, but Hobin was worried about Asamiya, so he could go home, but Pakgo didn't care about that. Pakgo continues to beat Hobin. On the other hand, we are shown the yellow jacket woman again. But suddenly Hobin prostrated himself with Pakgo and apologized for the mistake he had made, but still with regret Hobin prostrated himself with the person in front of the person Hobin loved. However, it wasn't that easy. Pakgo told Hobin to take off his pants and apologize again, because Pakgo was live streaming when he beat Hobin. However, after Asamiya slapped Pakgo and he wanted to beat Asamiya, Hobin suddenly took off his pants and shirt and then apologized again. However, not only that, Hobin will also take off his underwear, so that the Pakgo channel will be banned from NewTube. Then suddenly Munsong came and restrained Hobin so he wouldn't let go, and Munsong then beat the Pakgo group one by one until they fell down.
脱がなくても大丈夫。
扇はハマケンのライブ配信強かった。
大丈夫か、カゴ。
After finishing beating up the Pakgo group, Munsong then asked Asamiya to leave and left Hobin alone. From that incident, Hobin continued to remember his past, with Hobin thinking that his life was over, and Kaneko approached Hobin and apologized to Hobin. After a few days later at school, it was seen that Pakgo in class had also dared to start his live streaming, with Pakgo admitting to his audience that if you want to hate him, you should not watch his live streaming, and Pakgo only likes people who support him. But it turns out that Kaneko suddenly becomes a Pakgo model with makeup like Hobin, but Kaneko is still worried about Hobin, who is not at school and hasn't been to school for several days. On the other hand, Asamiya contacted Hobin by telephone, but Hobin did not respond. But it turned out that Hobin was starting to study all the video techniques from Samdak, with the intention that miracles would not happen to people who did not want to try. Therefore, Hobin tried hard to practice while skipping school, and Hobin started to change himself to be cool. When Pakgo was live streaming in class with the aim of telling Hobin that Kaneko had been beaten by Pakgo and asked Hobin to meet Pakgo. However, it turned out that Hobin was already in front of the class and approached Pakgo. Then Hobin gave his cell phone to Kaneko to start live streaming and face Pakgo. The story ends here first. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel.